Hello, welcome to Christianity and Pop Culture, the new segment where we talk about Christian imagery in the culture which is popular. I'm Jason Hennig, your temporary and/or co-host and resident gamer here at King of Kings. You might be wondering why I'm wearing a tie with a polo. Well, in commemoration of Destiny 2 coming out, we're going to go back in time before the Cabal blew up the last city and take a look at original Destiny. This is my Destiny tie. See, I'd move it much closer, but I've got a table in the way. It's a tie. Now, I haven't played Destiny 2 yet. Sue me, I have work. So disclaimer, this video will only discuss the events in Destiny up to and through the mini expansion with splicers and creepy virus stuff. And no, Rise of Iron was not a full expansion. Fight me. Now, if you don't know what Destiny is by now, you probably either have adblock on your browser or you don't pay attention to new video games. If either of those is the case, let's take a look at what Destiny actually is. Destiny is a first-person shooter-style action role-playing game. In other words, it's a high-intensity game where you shoot bad guys with a character you design. It's set in a future post-human colonization of space, and sometime after human civilization has pretty much collapsed. You play as a guardian, a person resurrected from the dead to fight against the dangerous, though admittedly rather vague, darkness. Throughout the course of the game, you fight against alien gods, generals, and a vast array of unique dangers of the cosmos. Now, you're not in this fight alone. Players from around the world can join you in battling the aliens connected on an intricate network of servers. This makes the game a massively multiplayer online game, even if Bungie says it isn't. It's a massively multiplayer, and it's online. Bite the bullet already, Bungie. Now, I love Destiny, one of my favorite games. So when the challenge was issued by a teenager at King of Kings, I bet you can't find Christianity in Destiny and Overwatch, I said, that's where you're wrong, kiddo. So without further ado, 5 Christian elements of Destiny. Destiny is not a Christian game. In fact, we probably won't be analyzing many, if any, explicitly Christian things on this show. The thing is that Christian elements exist all over Western culture, its virtues, its vices, its imagery, and these naturally make their way into its storytelling. The first and most common of these is Christ-like self-sacrifice. Like I said, self-sacrifice is one of the most common ways that Christianity pops up in other things. In case you didn't know, Jesus did a big one of those. You know, nailed to a cross and whatnot, died shouldering the sins of the world. Pretty objectively selfless. Because Jesus is depicted as pretty easy to root for, we give those Christ-like qualities to protagonists to make them virtuous. That being said, Destiny is chock full of that kind of behavior. Your very existence as a guardian is predicated on the idea that I fight and die so that others don't have to. Titans, the tanky, vaguely melee class, are described as a ring of spears destined to break. Now, that's not an insult, that's a description of purpose. They stand in harm's way, even before the other guardians. Perhaps the ultimate example of this, though, can be found at the beginning of the first and only full and true expansion, Fight Me, the Taken King. The Awoken, who for our purposes here are the more selfishly depicted people living past the asteroid belt, pick up a massive and powerful incoming alien fleet. They decide to engage them knowing they very well might lose, and in the process, they lose both their queen and probably their prince in one of the most awesome game sacrifices since the end of Dark Souls. Now, don't tell me if Uldren is secretly alive. I don't want to know. Which leads to our second point. This one may seem like a stretch at first glance, because greed is usually demonized across all cultures, but let me explain. A particular kind of greed is very important in works relating to Christian themes, and that's the one we'll be working with. This particular brand of greed is the unwillingness to perform the self-sacrifice I mentioned earlier. This is special because a lot of people refer to this as, well, self-preservation. Now, while Destiny does make a heightened sense of self-preservation look selfish, it doesn't discount it completely. Dead Orbit, a faction in the city, are technically good guys, and their whole plan is to dip the solar system, ASAP. That being said, they and the Awoken are knocked a bit in the game for this kind of behavior by the people in charge of the Guardians. In fact, in an endgame mission in The Taken King, Dead Orbit provides some assistance with their escape fleet, and in that moment, where they aren't just trying to get the heck out of Dodge, they get lauded for their efforts. Unwillingness to die for the cause and for the remaining people of Earth is seen as a vice, and something most characters in the game are disdainful of. This falls in line pretty specifically with the Christian value set. In a game where heroes are resurrected from the dead anytime they die, any thorough philosophical approach to the story necessarily interacts with the concept of an afterlife or lack thereof. Destiny is no exception. All armor pieces come with a title and a shiny set of flavor text, which can be something as silly as Squid Pro Quo, which comes with goofy squid-based joke text, or something as profound as the Seraph and Seraph Reform sets, which are what we'll look at here. The set, when combined together, asks the question, what happened before we were resurrected? The helmet and chest piece together say, I'm not talking about our lives. Maybe we were someplace good, you know, and the ghosts took us away. This is probably the closest the game gets to directly interacting with actual religion, and I think it's very worth noting. Now, like I said, Destiny is not an explicitly Christian game, and it doesn't even use the word heaven, but the philosophical idea of an afterlife is still explored, if briefly. Wow, that's a long title card. Should we, run it again? No? Not gonna let me run it again? Alright, fine. It may seem counterintuitive in a game about blowing bad guys to smithereens, but kindness and mercy are shown to be better virtues than strength alone. The game's deep lore actually hits pretty thoroughly on the philosophical battle between victory by strength and victory with honor. We're going to dig into a religious tome of the Hive, who are bad guys, called the Books of Sorrow. This tracks the origins of the three main gods of the Hive, Oryx, Xivu-Arath, and Savathun. Don't flip out, I didn't forget Crota, he's just a minor god. Now, I'm going to set up the scene for you. Verse 1:8 is entitled Leviathan. The three sisters, not yet ascended to godhood, are descending to their planet's core to find powerful truths. They encounter an ancient, wise creature called the Leviathan that warns them not to go any deeper, because finding strength in strength alone will turn them to darkness. He refers to the side of mercy and temperance as the sky, and the side of strength and struggle as the deep. Some of his final words to the sisters are, the sky is the harder way, but it is kinder. Honestly, he gives them an entire sermon on mercy versus strength, and although they disregard him and defeat him later in the story, they are still, to the players, the villains. And they become such because they accept the deep claim that existence is the struggle to exist, and they must be strong to be worthy of existence at all. That deep claim is found in various forms across all the enemies you face in Destiny. This one doesn't really fit in with the others. This is a thing. Here it is. The collapse, if you don't know, was the dark point in Destiny's human civilization. After the golden age of spreading across the solar system and colonizing other planets, everything suddenly fell apart. There are a lot of great lore analyses of this occurrence, but we don't really care about what exactly happened to trigger the collapse. We care about why. Philosophically, not the actual chain of events leading up to it. Destiny skirts very gently around a literary idea called the tragic hero, who fails as a result of no particularly unusual vice, but because of a mistake, usually as a result of the hero's pride, or hubris. Now, before you say, but isn't pride a vice? I mean particularly unusual vices. If you would consider the vice the makings of a bad person, they can't be a tragic hero. But if the vice is seen as a stone's throw away from ordinary, it flies. The tragic hero in Destiny, arguably, is humanity itself. Humanity itself did nothing wrong, really, to encourage the collapse, so much as, according to the bits of material we have left from that era, make the mistake of being drastically underprepared and being basically betrayed by their own defenses. That's a complex topic, but the point is that building the defenses the way they did triggered a mistake, which was a result of their pride in their defenses. As a result, darkness entered the solar system. The fall? Well, Adam and Eve were made very good and had no particular vices, but their pride in assuming they should have the knowledge of good and evil caused them to make a mistake, eat the fruit, and bring sin into the world. Now, this isn't just a similarity of tragic heroes. This is humanity being prideful and choosing to make a mistake that caused darkness, whether literal or metaphorical, to enter their world. So, those were 5 Christian elements of Destiny. We're going to be doing this show, Christianity and Pop Culture, along with our new show, Philosophy Class. Oh, I guess that's 2 shows that are new. Those are 2 new shows! I just realized that. We're going to be doing both those new shows on alternating weeks. So this week is Christianity and Pop Culture. Next week, Philosophy Class, etc., etc. Do you have a piece of pop culture you want us to analyze? Leave it in the comments. Otherwise, do your thing. See you next week or in 2 days or whatever. We'll see you when you watch another video. Get out of here.